make a call. Like get the same.
Do it or don't.
Same dudes.
Yeah, do it or don't. Like, don't half-ass
somebody call
the
Andy
monkeys.
Serkis, for God's sake.
You can't half-ass monkeys anymore. Andy Serkis will come knocking on your door. Don't half-ass a monkey. Just call the dude. He'll do anything. Just call him.
A long time ago, I raised a son to know his fuqua from his Fincher.
Now we're turning our arguments into content. This is I Am Your Father, where Gen X meets Gen Z at Neverland. How we doing?
Did you forget your line there for a second?
No, I did not. What are you talking about?
There was a big pause there.
No, you were the king of pauses. You do like a little.
I know, I am.
I knew what I was doing.
I hear you.
I knew what I was doing.
Listen, fuqua from his Fincha is hard to say.
From his Fincha?
So maybe you were just so blown away that I got it out.
I was blown away by the connection you made there. As always, you continue to come up with amazing connections at the open of our episodes. I love it.
Well, speaking of Antoine Fuqua, we've got a fun main topic for this episode. We're going to be talking about his new film, Michael. It's very Antoine Fuqua-esque film, right? No, I don't know. I don't think it really is. It seems like a strange entry for him, but he did it anyway, and we're going to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it. For a little bit of context, I know that this movie is also somewhere in our box office draft. We're recording a little too early to know how this movie's going to perform or anything like that. We're recording on the Thursday premiere, so just a little tidbit to throw out there. We'll have to come back and revisit down the line a little bit, see how it does. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into it.
You drafted this film in the fifth spot. It was your third choice, but it's the fifth spot. And you predicted a very big box office. You predicted $1 billion box office for this one.
I mean, it's Michael Jackson.
Not to bury the lead, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, he the biggest star ever in the whole world ever, right? So I mean, it only makes sense to
pop.
me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm Graham. He's Braden. This is I Am Your Father, and we're going to talk about Michael. But before we do that, we are going to touch on a couple TV shows real quick. We've been keeping up with Invincible, season 14. How many seasons is this now? 4, right?
4.
And Daredevil Born Again. We are not quite caught up on Darth Maul's Shadow Lord, so we're not going to cover that this week. But should we start with Invincible? Which I finished
let's start with Invincible.
10 seconds ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to do kind of we've covered up until a certain point. I think we're missing 3 episodes now that we haven't covered. So we can kind of just do a season 4 recap as a whole, specifically focused on last couple episodes, and then maybe rank it among the other seasons real quick. Are you cool with that?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, you are the resident Invincible indifference viewer. So what did you think of the last couple episodes? The Viltrumite war. We have Thragg. How do you feel with what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I had my guts torn out.
Yep.
But luckily, I'm fine.
You are fine.
Like everyone else.
Yes.
In Invincible.
Well, you are,
their guts torn out.
Of the most powerful race in the universe.
I guess so.
The entire galaxy, mind you.
The human race is what we're talking about, I assume.
Oh, I mean, if you're surviving your guts being ripped out and all that.
Or my Viltrumite.
Yes, you're Viltrumite.
It's just, I continue to have the same problem with the show that I always have. It just seems the stakes. They really want me to buy into the stakes, but people are killed and come back so long as they're important characters. And so I struggle to do that. I really enjoy the voice talent. There were some really fun fight sequences in this. But it's just gratuitous in so many ways with no stakes. And that because it has no stakes, that's why I feel like it's gratuitous. So I'm trying to enjoy it. They keep surprising me with really fun new voice talent showing up that I'm like, oh, I know them. But I'm not really feeling it still.
Well, I myself am feeling it quite a bit. I love this show very much. I definitely agree that it is flawed. I think one of the bigger issues, as we mentioned before, is, the power scaling, as well as, where are the stakes? And I think that ultimately, although it's not perfect, I think the show does a pretty good job at finding a way to introduce stakes when you do have these characters who can survive almost anything. And I think the finale is a really great example of that. I love how the finale, spoiler alert, dealt with severe PTSD for Mark. Like, he just kept seeing his loved ones, and not even just loved ones, but everybody as dead, killed by Thragg and the Viltrumites. I think they used the analogy of kicking the hornet's nest without killing all the hornets, kind of a thing. Like, they're going to get stung for sure. And by the end of the episode, he's faced with the dilemma. Basically, his planet's being held hostage, and the war that they fought is essentially going to be lost by the Viltrumites being able to rebuild or rebreed their species back into existence. And I found that like an incredibly interesting way to continue to move this story forward while making Thragg feel both, very capable and dangerous, but at the same time, very smart. Like, he's their leader for a reason, not just because he's the strongest, but he's going to bring them back to salvation in that sense.
Well, they certainly did a decent job of power scaling with him. Thragg. Oh yeah. They managed to make Thragg even more powerful than any other Viltrumite that we've encountered yet.
Yeah, he's the Viltrumite for sure. Like, he's the big bad.
Yeah, which is interesting though. I didn't love that voice performance as much as say Jeffrey Dean Morgan's. Yeah. I kept meaning to look it up. Did you look up who the voice of Thragg was?
It's Lee Pace.
Okay. I was having trouble placing it. I almost said pacing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I was having trouble placing it, and Lee Pace makes sense. Morgan's better.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Conquest is like maybe my favorite performance in the entire show. And one of I mentioned in our last episode, one of my favorite villain performances, period. I think our first episode with Thragg, Lee Pace's voice was very underwhelming for me. It grew on me a lot in the next 2 or 3 episodes. He obviously has a lot more lines, a lot more dialogue to give, and it really started to grow on me. Do I think it's the best out of all of them? No, but I'm honestly completely fine with it. I think so far it's been really great, other than maybe the first episode.
Yeah. So this is the second time this year that there's been a Lee Pace performance that I haven't been able to place. And I think I said the exact same thing.
Oh, remember,
we talked about
Running
it in
Man, correct?
In The Running Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I kept thinking, like, who's this voice? I know this voice. What is it about his voice that for me feels maybe more generic than memorable? I can't quite figure it out.
No,
there's other things that he's done. Like when he is in Marvel, he was very, I knew his voice. I knew him right away.
Right.
But I'm missing something in these last 2 performances.
No, I can actually, I think I agree with you there. Like his Ronin voice is, I feel like would have almost worked better for Thragg than what seems to be the voice he's doing, which I think might just be his voice. Like, I don't think there's much of a performance that he's putting on or like a character that he's playing as much as he's just delivering the lines himself.
Yeah.
And that's in terms of the performance. In terms of like the actual character and the story they're telling with him, everybody had him on what they were calling fraud watch, We're hearing how bad Thragg is, and he shows up in the first episode. He's like, no, when he grabs the skull and flies away. But, he came back to repair that image. He, defamation lawsuit, came back and kicked ass, killed Thetis in maybe the coolest, craziest way. And I think one of my favorite moments of the whole episode was when Mark flew at him and punched him, and he just ate it completely. And there was like the freeze frame of the demon, the demon skull is pretty cool.
Why was it such a cool kill from your perspective when he kills Thetis?
I think part of the reason it's a cool kill is because we're seeing just how powerful Thragg is. We haven't seen, we've seen Viltrumites die from continuous blows from other Viltrumites. We've seen them cut open, all these different things, decapitated with the slice and whatnot. We haven't seen a Viltrumite just powerfully rip or punch through or whatever somebody like this before. On top of that, it's Thetis who...
Haven't we? Didn't he punch through Nolan at the end, and Nolan survives that?
Well, so yes, Thragg does. But this is my point, is no other Viltrumite has exhibited this kind of power before, like against other Viltrumites. And we're told that Thetis is, he, like, in terms of top 5 Viltrumites, he's in that list, Thetis. And so for him to just get his head ripped off, like pulled off, feels like a pretty significant feat of strength.
Yep. So guts pulled out, not fatal. Decapitations, that's where it's at. Note to future Viltrumite assassins.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
You're good so long as your head is
entrails.
attached to the rest of your body. Yes. Okay, well, so I guess tell me this. You've watched most of season 2, season 3, and season 4 all very close together. It's been a little while since you watched season 1, about a year. What would be your quick ranking of the 4 seasons?
Probably 1, 4, and then I'm not quite sure on 2 and 3. I think maybe I struggled with 2 the most.
Yeah, that's common consensus.
Yeah. So I think I still enjoyed season 1 more than anything else. And then maybe, though, I think season 4 might be my second favorite.
Yeah, I mean, season 4 for me, it starts off just okay. Like, it starts off good, but nothing amazing. But the back half of season 4 is so good that, like, that in and of itself brings it up to probably that 2 slot for me as well. It was definitely 3. So for me, it was 1 and then 3 and then 2 beforehand. I think 4 just snuck into the number 2 slot for me with these last few episodes. I think they were very, very good. And every time a season of this show ends, I have just the strongest urge to look ahead, like, and see what's going to happen from the comics. And and I try so hard to not. I've had some little things spoiled here and there just because people will post, starting off with a spoiler frame, which is of course the worst. But every time one of these seasons ends, I can't believe I have to wait at least another year to keep going. I'm definitely bummed there because I love this show a lot. I really do.
I'm not. I don't have an urge to find out. I'm going to be okay.
I know you'll be okay
until the next season comes out.
Because you're so nonchalant. Yeah.
In fact, you're going to have to convince me to watch season 5.
What a bum.
All right. I mean, it was fun, but it was like every time somebody gets punched through the stomach and their entrails come flying out, I'm like, okay, well, they'll be okay. By the way, Mark got headbutted. He was out for longer than Nolan was out, having been punched through the stomach, and all of his entrails are falling out.
Yeah, like, he's also weaker than his dad.
The way that episode ends, we've got what's his name, single eye guy, Alan. That's right. He has such a simple name. That's the funniest part of the whole show. Anyway, Alan is like waking him up. Oh, you're finally awake. You've been out for weeks or whatever it is. And then he just like comes from the room, and Nolan's like, "Hey, dude, I'm cool. Just got a Band-Aid on."
His dad is stronger. Omni-Man. Nolan is one of the most powerful Viltrumites as well.
Okay, but Mark had his guts ripped out, and it took months and months and months to recover. Right? There's half the season was that.
Yeah. No,
Mark growing a beard.
I gotcha.
All right.
Omni-Man only took weeks.
Okay, well. All right, let's talk about another TV show. We've also got a couple new episodes of Daredevil Born Again, including finally Jessica Jones showing up.
Yeah, finally. An episode later than we even thought it would.
We said last episode, I said if she doesn't show up in the next episode, I'm going to be pissed. And she still didn't show up in that episode. I knew
you were pissed.
We had to wait until,
I was watching the episode, and when it didn't happen, I just thought to myself, oh yeah, Dad's pissed. Dad's pissed for sure.
What did you think of these last 2 episodes? I think it's been 2 episodes since we last talked, right?
Yeah, 2 episodes since we last talked. I've really enjoyed both of these last 2 episodes. Again, I've been loving almost all the content we've been getting, which is great. I'll speak about the first episode first, the one which deals a lot with flashbacks, and in the style of the original Daredevil show. And it kind of like, I loved it, and it pissed me off because it just showed me that they could have made the show look and feel like this the whole time, And for a lot of Daredevil fans, what we fell in love with was that Netflix series for the look and the feel of it. Born Again has been very entertaining and fun because we get these characters back, but it feels very different. Feels much more MCU in a lot of ways. And so the fact that we got an episode saying, oh, by the way, here's what we could have had with, Foggy still in the show, all the lighting looking the same, just these smaller lawyer moments. And it was like, this is what we could have had in a way. It's kind of a bummer. That being said, it happening in the episode I thought was incredible. I thought the way they were intercutting between, the memories and then the current day, with Matt's struggle, saving Bullseye and whatnot, I thought it was really good. I thought it was maybe the best episode of the season so far, up until that point.
Okay.
I think that I'm forgetting his name right now, which is stupid, but having Foggy in the episode, like, breathed a certain life into the show that I didn't fully realize was missing. Like, his dynamic with Matt is so important, and I just continue to be bummed that he's not in the show.
Yeah,
and I agree. And there were so many theories, like, because there is a storyline where Matt thinks Foggy dies, but he's not dead. He's in witness protection program, yada yada. He comes back. People have been, since that first episode of season 1 dropped, theorizing this. To me, now it's been too long, and I need those stakes to be real. So I don't want him to come back, but I am, like, somewhat mad that the decision was ever made. More so now that we have spent time with him in flashback form, and it was really good.
His absence looms, there's no doubt. I'll tell you the thing, though, that is detracting more for me than even that, and it's the absence of Daredevil's anonymity.
Okay.
The fact that Fisk knows his true identity, and so do a few of Fisk's top lieutenants, and they're just choosing to keep it a secret for some greater good that we're supposed to understand. I'm not buying it, and it's taking me out a little bit. Every time I think that something like his identity might be revealed, I'm suddenly reminded, oh, wait, the big bad already knows who he is. What are we waiting on? So I feel like that's something that is distracting me a little bit. And I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's a good point. I think that there are obviously ways that they can try to write around it, reasons they can try to explain as to why Kingpin wouldn't reveal it. But I agree with you, it's not as strong. I think that a lot of heroes, and we so rarely get this in Marvel specifically, so many heroes are at their best when a constant stress is their secret identity. Like Spider-Man and Daredevil, they should always have, their identity should always be secret. Like, that's just my belief, because it adds a layer of complexity in every decision they make. And when that's not there, you feel it, and you feel the stakes lessen because it is so impactful in the comics, so prominent in the comics and even other movies. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that the reasoning that they've given, I'm not fully able to remember off the top of my head what it is, but as they're explaining it in the show, I don't think it's the worst. But I do agree with you. Generally speaking, if the big bad figures it out, there needs to either be consequences in them revealing it, which then is a whole new can of worms, or when they're not, you need to really understand and feel why that's even worse.
I mean, remember there was a scene this season where a couple of the, what do they call it? The task force guys, guys, they figure, they pull his mask off and they're like, oh my God, it's Matt Murdock. And then they're immediately killed by Bullseye. For a moment there, I thought, oh no, they're going to find out who he is there. And then like a couple minutes later, I'm watching the show and I'm like, wait, their boss knows who he is. What?
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It is, I'm repeating myself at this point, but that's the part that's throwing me off. But I am enjoying the show, and I was glad to have Jessica Jones back. Real quick, before we move on to our main topic, what were your thoughts so far on the most recent episode and Jessica's return?
I thought it was another good episode. I think the actual ending for me was a little abrupt and underwhelming with, oh, you're Karen Page, and then the episode ends. Yeah. But in terms of Jessica's return, I thought it was fun. I thought that I liked how we were able to move forward off screen a little bit with her story to get her a little closer to what she is most commonly portrayed as in the comics, you know, like a mother to a daughter, most likely Luke Cage's daughter. And it's just it's always fun seeing her in almost anything, but as this character, I think she's really, really good, really fun. I don't think it was perfect, but I thought it was a great starting point for her to hopefully show up more often moving forward, whether that be in this show or in, who knows, another Jessica Jones season or another Disney show, who knows. But I liked it. I thought it was good. And then aside from her, I thought the action in the episode was very entertaining. It felt like, honestly, like peak Daredevil and Kingpin, like both of them at their like highest and closest to comic book form, which I found very entertaining and very exciting. It felt like, we've seen them fight a few times, but this felt like ripped out of a comic book in the best way possible for me.
That knee to the jaw was
awesome.
epic.
So cool. And everything leading up to it. And I think they have done like an absolutely incredible job at adding even more complexity to the character of Fisk this season, who was already one of the most complex villains or just characters period in Marvel. And I think that them having the guts to actually kill off Vanessa, especially in the fashion in which they did by like kind of giving him false hope beforehand, I thought it was really good. I just really love where we're at right now. And I these last two episodes were awesome.
Yeah. The Kingpin's willingness to commit violence, just in the open for the most part, does stretch credulity a bit for me. I struggled, like when he killed that doctor.
Right.
I was really like, really, we're going here. It's this, like, he's just this brazen. Right. He's just going to murder a doctor in the hospital.
It was probably my only complaint with the episode.
Yeah. A doctor who, by the way, was a freaking saint.
Yeah.
To like the way he was communicating. I mean, that might have been the most like brutal killing of the show, just based on the conversation that had just happened between the two of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. It was definitely maybe the corniest and most hard to believe moment of the whole episode. I think there is something to his willingness to just kill and know that it will be taken care of by his people and the system he has in place. I think that obviously does make him feel more dangerous. I mean, I'm like, this doctor's dead for sure. You know, like these moments, they make him feel more dangerous, but there are certain points where it does feel cartoonish every now and then.
Yeah. Good. Well, the other thing about this is I was glad to finally start to see like public outrage in the show. It felt a little too
late.
Much like not enough people were recognizing what was really going on, and so it was good to finally see that happening in the show. We have how many more episodes left?
2.
Okay. All right. So we'll cover that hopefully over the next couple weeks. And do we have anything fun coming out soon that we get to exchanges for? We've got 3 good shows going on right now.
Yeah, we got 3 good shows going on right now. Little update aside from TV, I just watched a movie called The Drama. I'm sure you're aware of it. Rob Pattinson and Zendaya. You should see it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it?
Yeah.
Like, has it been spoiled for you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Go in blind. I think the trailers did a very great job at just like telling you basically nothing about the movie, just selling it on star power and like awkward interactions.
Great.
But I found it a very
say no
good
more
movie.
because I didn't even know. I didn't even realize that there was going to be anything to be surprised about. So sounds good.
I'll just tell you this:
since we're on the top, go ahead.
Just to finish what I was saying, it's one of, if not my favorite movie of the year so far.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
High praise. Okay, well, I'll have to get that. I'll have to watch that, and then we can cover it on the show. We did not talk about Darth Maul Shadowlord. I will just give you a little sneak preview. These last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I'm just a little behind.
My favorite 2 of the season.
Oh, really?
Really enjoyed these last 2 episodes. There was some really great lightsaber action going on in these last two. So
Wow.
look,
For you,
you'll enjoy it.
For that to be your praise of a Star Wars project, like there was really great lightsaber action, is unheard of.
Yeah.
Like that's usually what you don't care about. That's usually the last thing you care about when it comes to a Star Wars project. In fact, your favorite Star Wars project of all time has absolutely zero lightsabers in it. So for you to say
just to be
some
clear,
really great lightsaber action, that's pretty awesome.
It's my favorite post original trilogy Star Wars project. It is not my favorite Star Wars project of all time. So
okay, so it's your third favorite,
and it's the absence fourth. It's the absence.
You would put Return above?
It's not the absence of. Yeah, absolutely. I would. I mean, not because it's necessarily better in certain ways, but there's just a nostalgic love for that film that it means so much to me. I mean, I remember every detail of the week and the months leading up to watching that movie, and it paid off, and it's continued to be one of my favorite films of all time.
That wasn't even my experience.
It's not as good as the other two.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As someone who grew up watching them and now watches them as an adult, I can say for sure that the third one is easily worse by like a good margin. But at the same time...
Of the three...
the three. And still not a top 3 Star Wars movie, in my opinion. But it is still one of my favorites because it does feel like it has that original trilogy feel in the best way, and it has a lot of really, really great moments.
Yeah, we're in danger of going down a really deep rabbit hole, but
you're right.
To
I just
suggest that any of the prequels or sequel trilogy is better than Return of the Jedi is absolute blasphemy. I'm unwilling to hear this argument.
There's definitely one or two.
God, there's not even one, let alone two. Oh my God. All right,
probably
we need
two.
to move on before I lose my shit.
There's probably two. I mean, that's just the truth. The truth is the original trilogy. 2 of those belong in the top 3 Star Wars, and one of them is top 5, probably 5, not 4.
Better. You're going to say Revenge of the Sith and what? Attack of the Clones?
No, not Attack of the Clones. I think Attack of the Clones is bad.
What are you going to say? Revenge of the Sith and what?
Do you have another guess?
The Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is better than both of them. The Force Awakens belongs in the 4 slot if we're just talking films. Revenge of the Sith is grossly overrated. It's just grossly overrated.
All right. We don't have time for this. We have a main topic.
We don't. All right. Let's get into our main topic then. Today, you and I both saw Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic, produced by the Jackson family for the most part, directed by Antoine Fuqua, and starring Michael's nephew as Michael.
Yeah.
How should we talk about this? You wanna just talk like main thoughts on performances? Did you like the film? Or should we wait to say I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to hold back whether we liked or didn't like the movie till the very end, but we can definitely wait to give our rating.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start off with some performances. I think.
Okay.
And I guess also kind of my general thoughts on the film. I thought that this movie was fine. And just could have been so much better. And none of that has to do with any of the performances for me. I thought the performances were really good. I thought Jafar Jackson as Michael was like uncanny, and to the point where it was at times distracting because I would remember like that's not Michael Jackson on the screen in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
He just absolutely disappeared into that role. It was very bizarre. I thought Coleman Domingo.
It took me 10 minutes, but then
for sure.
But by the end of the film,
yeah,
there was no telling them apart.
100%. It took me a minute. I agree with you, but at a certain point, my brain saw no issue whatsoever. I thought Coleman Domingo was really great at playing a character you just hate. I know I just mentioned the drama a second ago. There's a character in that movie that like in my Letterboxd review, I said like top 10 most hateable characters of all time. And so then the fact that my next movie that I watched was Michael, and there's another character who like you just want to punch in the face the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a rough 1-2 punch. But he played just, you know, that jerk so well.
Yeah. I mean, he disappears into every role he does.
He's phenomenal
in such an amazing way. And yeah, I mean, you know, you compare this to say that performance that we both talked about so frequently last year in Sing Sing, where he's just so likable, and what he can do in a performance like this, where he is just so hateable.
Yeah.
And it's the same guy. And I found myself asking 2 or 3 times early on in the film, is that really Coleman Domingo?
Well,
he was so transformed that I forgot at the beginning that he was I knew going in that he was in the movie, and for like 5 minutes I was like, who is that? Oh wait, shit, that's Coleman Domingo.
We're almost at the end of the movie, and Nat leans over to me and goes, is that Coleman Domingo? I was like, yes. Did you just notice? She's like, I just noticed. Like,
yeah,
we're like, the movie has 40 minutes left in it, and it just hit her. So I think that
he was good.
I think that's a testament. Good. He definitely disappeared in it. So, and those are
young Michael. Young Michael, played by either is Juliano or Giuliano Valdi. I'm not sure which pronunciation he uses. He was great too. Great child actor playing young Michael. I really enjoyed that also.
So those are basically our 3 main performances right there.
Yeah,
and they were all really good. So I have absolutely no issue with any of those performances. I thought, and especially Jafar Jackson, it was actually bizarre.
Yeah,
especially towards the end.
It was. And the singing, the dancing, everything. I mean, I loved his performance across the board.
Yeah. So now I did mention that I thought the movie was just good or okay, and could have been a lot better. There's a lot of reasons for that, which I think we should dive into. But one I want to present to you first is, and you let me know if you agree, I feel as though this was much closer to a filmed concert than it was a biopic, however you say it, and or a movie. Like, we spent just a lot of time watching a full song performance. Like, half the runtime feels like it was full song performance on stage.
Yeah, I mean, this is not unlike some of the great musical act biopics that we've gotten over the last few years, some of which have been really successful, some have not. But like, let's compare this like Bohemian Rhapsody, a movie that critically a lot of people had problems with, but it made a ton of money. Audiences loved it. Eventually garnered a Best Actor win for Rami Malek. And you know, I mean, if you love Queen, it's a fun watch. But it's not necessarily The Godfather, and that's kind of how I feel about this movie. It's a greatest hits album, you know. I mean, is it as good as any of the original albums? No, but it's a greatest hits album, and I like a greatest hits album sometimes. You just want to put it on and go, oh yeah, that one, oh yeah, that one, oh yeah, that one, and that's what this was. So I don't know that it needed to be much else. I do have some thoughts. I think it's more than just that, but in some ways that's kind of how I likened those musical sequences that you're talking about. It was like a little bit of lead in, a little bit of that, oh, maybe this is the inspiration for that song, and this is some of the conversation that led to it, and the behind the scenes, and then here, let's watch it and let's hear it, and let's all remember why we love this music.
Yeah, so I think in my opinion, there's like a few different ways you can go when approaching a film like this. One of them is what this movie did, where it was just basically, hey, you know, we really love this music, so let's just make a movie with all these songs in it, you know? Like, and then there's another way you can go where you kind of dive into like the person in a big way, like the struggle, the up and coming, and all that different stuff. But really, like, we're less focused on like all of the achievement and more focused on the person. And then there's like another way where, and I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but it was one of the things that I did like about the movie Elvis, where they kind of almost immortalized this character in a way where we're basically being told the story not even from the character's perspective, but about the character. Like, he's a He's a character in a story that somebody else is telling, like this legend, in a lot of ways. And so
yeah.
I think that of those three that I just today discovered, that the approach that this movie took might be my least favorite, because it feels so safe and, kind of like sanitized and approved by the board and the estate, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is like, I got chills several times in this movie, but it's not because the movie is so good. It was, to me, because Michael Jackson's songs are incredible, and I grew up listening to them, and they're important, And so when he's singing Bad, I have full body chills. That's not to me because the movie did such a great job at building up to this moment, but it's just because I was basically watching Bad in concert, Yeah,
I mean, listen, this movie is nostalgia porn. It is telling you what you want to believe,
right,
about a certain thing. And I'm going to just go out on record and say I'm okay with that right now. Like, to me, this is like watching a good Santa movie on Christmas Eve. Like, I know that Santa's not real, but it makes me feel good. And you know what? Like, the world was better when I believed in Michael Jackson. And so to take a step back and not have to take everything so seriously, even though there are serious parts of this movie, but the most serious parts of his life, the most controversial parts of his life, they either skip over completely or they don't get to. This movie stops at Bad, or they make a point to call out exactly why this whatever controversial thing is justified and totally normal and totally fine. And so, okay, whatever. I know that the cheese is powdered. I know that this is probably not good for me, but you know what? Damn it. That Kraft mac and cheese just feels so good and warm inside when I have it, and it just makes me feel good. And for a couple hours just to feel good and enjoy it all, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. They were spoon feeding us. They were telling us the version of the story that they wanted to see. Yes, you said sanitized. It was totally sanitized. It was overly sanitized at times. It was like, oh, don't forget, this isn't weird. But you know what? I was fine with that because it took me back to a time in my life when, the king of pop was reigning and the kingdom was in good shape.
So I really agree with you, like, on almost everything you just said. And there were several points in this movie where I'm thinking to myself, I know that this might not be factual. I know that this might,
right.
I know that there might be more to this story. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But like, there are points in this movie where I'm like, this is what I do want to believe. Like, this is, like you said, it feels good. So I'm choosing to believe this. Is that wrong? Maybe, I don't know. But I do agree with you. I'm not saying that this movie should have just been all about the controversy. I definitely don't think that. I just think it was so obvious that, like, this movie basically portrayed Michael Jackson as, like, the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, he was the most
deified
gentle.
Him, no doubt.
He was the kindest. He was the purest. And it's in a way that made it hard for me to, like, recognize him as a person. And I wanted this movie to do a good job at, like, making us really feel just the level of pop star, global icon that Michael Jackson was, while also not deifying him, making him this godlike figure. Like, I wanted it to be both. I wanted to feel him as the person, and I wanted to feel him as, the most successful and well-known music artist to ever exist.
Well, the irony of that is that he was godlike for a time. He was godlike, and when it came down, it was like losing your religion. It was a conflict of faith, a crisis of faith, rather, when certain things started to come to light, certain accusations were made. And so to be able to go back to that and to see the perspective from the family, just basically hear the families are like, this is the Michael we knew. These were the things that he went through that maybe you guys all didn't really know about. I mean, the stuff with his dad, the abuse with his dad it's fairly well documented. It's been talked about a lot, but not really shown to this extent. They cover certain things that some people don't even believe were real, about like things like his skin condition and things like that. And the things with the Peter Pan book and his obsession with that particular book, maybe even leading to why he wanted certain changes to his body to be done the way that they were. Like they did a good job of giving backstory to things that were hitherto unexplained, and so to me, I think they did humanize him. They tried to humanize him in a lot of ways. They just
but they humanized him in a way where he did no wrong whatsoever. Like he, at what point in this movie, like the only thing that I can really think of that Michael, like his only flaw in this whole movie was that he didn't stand up for himself sooner. If your only flaw is that you're getting walked over a little bit. So
yeah, I get it. Listen,
I'm both agreeing with you
was
and
not meant to be an expose. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be an expose. It was meant to be. I mean, I don't want to say like a puff piece, but it kind of was. And
that is exactly what it was.
I still found it enjoyable. And I will say, you started by saying it was okay. I found myself enjoying this film way more than I expected to enjoy it.
Okay.
Way more. I'm not going to go out and say this is a 4.5 movie or something. I mean, I understand that it's not necessarily like peak cinema, but it was an enjoyable 2.5 hours in the movie theater. And I walked out of there. Look, if I can get goosebumps 3 or 4 times in a movie, there's something working about that movie. You can write it off on the music if you want, but it's still, I sat in a movie I paid money, I sat in a movie theater, and I got goosebumps multiple times, just like you did. I walked out of there, I'm going to be singing that music for weeks.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It was better than I expected.
Yeah. So I don't know what I expected it to be in terms of a rating. And then when the reviews started to drop and they were horrible, I began to expect the worst. It was not that. This is by no means a horrible movie. Like, that is absurd. But it's also not a great movie. And so that's kind of just where I'm lying. I don't know that I will necessarily feel an urge to watch this movie again. I think I would probably just throw on his albums, his music instead. Like, I feel like it works similarly. I do think that this movie will kind of do a great job at, creating new Michael fans who are young and whatnot. I guess I'm kind of hoping that we do get that part 2. And so maybe let's real quick just dive into a little bit of the production of this movie. I'm sure you're aware to a certain extent, but just in case our viewers aren't, I'll kind of go over just a little bit of it. In that this movie originally did deal with some of the controversy, specifically like some of the first allegations against Michael in the third act. Like a lot of the third act of this film was about that. And in editing, the lawyers like basically found, in all these documents that they were not allowed to do this legally. And so the movie was delayed and then delayed and then delayed. Ended up coming out a whole year later. Had several weeks of reshoots, which cost another $10 to $15 million. The entire third act had to be completely reworked. And then the original cut was somewhere around 4+ hours, and they cut it down to just over 2 hours. So this movie, for the longest time, people were saying, this movie's never coming out. Well, it came out, and then there's been all these rumors of a part 1 and a part 2. And a part 2... And I feel like the part 2 is kind of alluded to by the way the movie ended with his story continues.
His story continues.
So I kind of am hoping that we do get that part 2. And maybe I'm fine if it continues to be this situation where, Michael's a good guy. Like, if that's the story they're telling, I'm fine with that because I want to believe that too. But I want to see them go further. I wish they had gone further. And I don't even just mean further into controversy. I just mean further into his career as well. Like, there's a lot more great Michael Jackson that we didn't get to see.
Yeah. Past bad. Yeah. I mean, that is peak. That's peak for sure. Michael Jackson. I didn't, there was a moment in the film where I wasn't quite sure when it was going to end, how long it was going to go, and I said to myself, "Man, there's like, how are they going to wrap this up? Where are they going to wrap this up?
Right.
There's so
Agreed.
much more to his career." And so I get that. I will say this: it did not feel to me like a movie that was riddled with reshoots. I think they did a really good job of kind of pulling it together, considering all that conversation, and putting together a really cohesive film that ends in an interesting way. I'm pretty sure that this, that the ending of the musical, Michael, goes further into his career. But I could be wrong. I think it goes further into his career, but it covers a lot of the same events. I saw it, but I'm having trouble remembering exactly where that ends in the thing. I'd love to see a part 2.
Yeah.
And I'm okay if that part 2 is pro Michael. I don't need him, we
don't need him to be
in the streets
vilified
necessarily.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm okay with it. Like I said, there are times when I just want to believe in Santa, and that's okay. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And today was one of those days for me in the theater, so ho, ho, ho.
I will say this. I saw it in Dolby, which is supposedly like the best sound format. I chose this specifically.
Yeah,
I was going to do IMAX or Dolby because, as you know, there was a long period of time where like what I listened to was exclusively Michael Jackson. When we were driving, we listened to Michael Jackson. Like I loved him growing up. A lot
of Michael Jackson.
Definitely important to me in my childhood. So I was excited for this. I stated in a previous episode that I felt like this movie was going to be fun but not good, and honestly, that's kind of where I ended up landing, anyways. So I saw it in Dolby. Sound quality was incredible. It really was just so loud and clear. Like when during the concerts, I felt like I was at a concert. Like like in a lot of ways. I as soon as I got in the car and drove home, I immediately just shuffled all of his music and listened to it on my whole 40-minute drive home, and then continued to listen to it while I was working on the script. So Michael Jackson and his music changed the world for sure. Was very important to me. Yeah. So for that reason, I enjoyed this. It's just in terms of like the actual filmmaking itself, the moments it decided to focus on, and the story it decided to tell overall, I was disappointed by. So I'm hoping we do get that part 2. And if we get the part 2, I think there's a great chance that it can be better. But we will see. I'm not convinced that it's happening for sure.
Yeah. How did you feel about Bubbles?
I'm glad he wasn't in the movie more. I think there's not going to be CGI monkeys better than Planet of the Apes, even though we should be there by now. This is a pretty obviously CGI monkey. Speaking of the CGI, there were also some moments, one shot specifically that I thought was horrible. Actually, 2. His hair on fire was pretty bad fire CGI, and there's a sweep over the crowd, I think for bad. That was like painfully, obviously, like the same head over and over again. But like I wasn't thinking about that throughout the whole movie. Like there were just moments that stood out to me, but I thought overall they did a pretty good job.
I found myself, to go back to something we talked about earlier, watching the most recent couple episodes of Daredevil with a few really bad pieces of like CGI explosions and things like that I was just like, oh,
I agree.
How did they do that? Why did they spend so little time getting that right?
Agreed.
It seems to me like we've had a number of really good examples of CGI monkeys. Yeah. Chimps specifically.
Like perfect.
Like, make a call. Like get the same.
Do it or don't.
The same dudes.
Yeah, do it or don't. Like, don't half-ass
somebody call
the
Andy
monkeys.
Serkis, for God's sake.
You can't half-ass monkeys anymore. Andy Serkis will come knocking on your door. Don't half-ass a monkey. Just call the dude. He'll do anything. Just call him.
All right, so I think we are at the point now where we should give this a letterbox rating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay.
I haven't logged it yet. So
neither have I.
I'm not.
We just so you guys all know, we both went and we saw this film roughly noon. We started recording by 4, so we pretty much went straight from the movie to putting our thoughts down on paper to recording.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it beforehand.
The plan is to release the episode on Friday, the day that it officially is released. Although now these days everything is released the day before. But anyway, in time for the weekend, hopefully you hear the episode and you can decide if you want to go catch Michael.
Yeah. So my Letterboxd score, I think I'm landing on, and I just talked a lot of crap. But the truth is, I think you brought up a good point. Like, if this movie gave me chills multiple times, like, that says something. I always say, like, if I cried during a movie, like, that automatically, like, bumps the score. You know, it got something out of me. Even though it was actually Michael Jackson getting that thing out of me, it's still gonna reflect on the movie. So I personally am gonna give it a 3 out of 5 overall. I was thinking lower for a long time. I was thinking I was going to do a 2.5, but I think I've settled on the 3 because, and for me, that's good, by the way. 3.5 or 2.5 would be average, so 3 is good.
It's what you refer to as a good rating?
As a good rating, yes. And there were really great moments, and like you said, there were several moments where I'm like, I'm choosing to believe this right now, you know? So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to an extent. I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would, but I would say it was good. How about you?
Okay. Well, we've established a number of times that I'm typically a half star to a full star behind you.
Yep.
In our ratings. So with that in mind, it would not be surprising for me to give this film a 2. For me, 2 is just okay. That's how I define a 2. I define a 3 also as good.
Okay.
So then there's and the nuance in between is the 2.5 is not bad. That's how I call it. But
okay.
I'm giving this film a 3.
Okay.
I also think this film is good.
Proof you enjoyed it more than me.
I think it's just good. But it's not very good or great or almost perfect or perfect, but it's good, and I liked it. And I don't think I was expecting a 3. I was kind of expecting to be disappointed by this film, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That
Awesome.
That tracks with our whole conversation.
Let's just finish our Michael conversation up with a quick second chance prediction here for our box office rating. You pulled this 5th in our box office draft for 2026. You said you thought it would do 1.1 billion globally. You just saw the film. You know how what the reviews have been like. I'm going to give you one other set of numbers here. Rotten Tomatoes 39%. Popcorn meter currently 95%.
And
so
that's the audience review.
That's the audience review. And I did not look up current Letterboxd rating.
It's pretty good. It's 3.2.
Yeah. So critics aren't liking this film at all. They're hating it, actually. But audiences so far are really liking it a lot. So you have a chance here to, I guess, hindsight a little bit. I know we'll know next week how it actually performed opening weekend.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What do you think? Are you standing by your 1.1 bill?
It's tough because you just gave me all those numbers, and I really don't have much more to work with. Like, we don't know at all how this movie's going to open. I think the poor critical acclaim is going to hurt it a little bit. Yeah. But the fact that audiences seem to be enjoying it so far, I think will somewhat cancel it out a little bit. Sometimes people like to do this thing where it's like, oh, the critics said it sucks, but everybody else loves it. I'm going to go see it, because F the critics. Yeah. So who knows? I'm less confident now that it'll make $1 billion. But I also, part of me wants to stick to my guns. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay where I'm at. Okay. I recall thinking that it was an aggressive choice on your part. I'm going to say I think it's going to struggle to hit $500 million. Half.
So that's where half. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's where I think globally. But I hope I'm wrong. I enjoyed it, and I think that I think it's feel good. I think it's feel good, and we need more feel good out there.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. All right, well, we ranked, we debated, we disagreed, though, not about who shot first. It's all just another day in the galaxy.
So whether you're Gen X, Gen Z, or somewhere lost in the timeline, please continue to listen, like, share, and subscribe to I Am Your Father.
Until the next episode, remember that with great power comes a great second breakfast, but winter is also coming, so may the Force live long and prosper with you.